double click on Max Verstappen's performance because we talked about it earlier on. Cover your ears, Max Verstappen naysayers, because D1 level max glazing incoming. I didn't think that he had a chance at the start of the Grand Prix, Peter. Even starting from the pits, P20. I know that Max has that in his locker. P17 to P1 last year, and then you've got 2016 into Lagos. Max is a brilliant, brilliant driver. Was that, though, his best drive at Interlagos that you've seen career to date?
Well, he says, I mean, hard to beat last year, wasn't it? And others as well. Yeah. But you say from the pit lane, actually, as soon as I heard he's starting from the pit lane, I thought, yes, we could have something today. If he was starting P16, I would have been nothing like as confident or as excited, because starting P16, as we saw, the sort of Lewis Hamilton area, is the place where you're always going to get involved in some sort of first corner shunt in Brazil. So in the pit lane is a great place to be, unless you're going to be on the front 2 or 3 rows, maybe the front 2 rows. Better to be in the pit lane, away from it all. Keep the car undamaged and have a nice clean start. As it happened, there was so much debris that he got a puncture anyway, but that could have happened even if he'd started P2, P1. So yeah, I think starting from the pit lane was a great thing, actually, and it was a very good decision by Red Bull. Obviously, it was a pretty much of a no-brainer, wasn't it, in terms of the new power unit? But from there, he was faultless, wasn't he? Absolutely faultless. And I think it was because he was so happy at last to feel that he had some grip on those medium tires. And the more he drove on the medium, the more the car felt like a racing car again. And because of that, he could just mentally relax and just drive the car. Qualifying, I think he was very stressed because he just didn't have any feel. And he arguably maybe didn't get the best from the car. I mean, the second run in Q1, he was just so late on the throttle in sector 2, just to make sure he had no understeer, no oversteer, and just trying to keep the thing as neat, as tidy as he could. But it was just bog slow. But that wasn't the case, obviously, when he got onto the mediums, and you could tell it in his tone of his voice. He was much more relaxed. It was the real Max. Yeah, and Brazil's a great place to have that sort of race if you're Max, because it's a great passing circuit. You got two good passing spots, and he was just good everywhere. No mistakes, really, none at all. Right at the end, when the softs went off, yeah, he had a few jinks, but then the softs were going off, and what could he do? So yeah, just a fabulous drive by Max, and great to see it. It could have been a completely boring race, couldn't it? But it was just one of the greatest. The only thing it didn't have, as I say, was rain. If it had rained, it would have been
Oh,
even better, I think. But anyway, we won't go there.
a rising Max Verstappen tide, Peter, floats all F1 boats. I'm baffled by the way that this dude at this juncture just makes the impossible seem almost routine. It's almost like, and again, after the fact, Max Verstappen naysayers will say, well, he had a super fast car. This was Lewis Hamilton 2021, a brand new power unit, etc., etc. But the odds makers had him as a 45-1 outsider to win a race, and he was this close, Peter. This close.
Yeah, I don't understand the business about the power unit, because yeah, the power unit's more reliable if it's new. I'm not sure it has any more power, maybe a little bit more, but don't forget he was quickest on the straight anyway. So why was everybody excited about the power unit change? I don't think that made any difference at all. It was all to do with the tires suddenly working, coming into their window, and Max just suddenly had a race car. And had he, as I say, if he'd run mediums in Q1, probably, I don't know whether he would have got out of Q2, maybe not, I don't know. But maybe he would have got involved with the first corner accident from the middle of the grid, I don't know. But we could see, I mean, the medium tire was really good on that Red Bull, and he just made perfect use of it. His overtakes were excellent, and around the outside of George didn't make it that easy, did he? But just fabulous grip going in there. You see how wide he was going in there as well. That was another clay. You know what? Don't worry, George. This is where I turn in anyway, mate.
Brilliant, brilliant. Are we ready to have the greatness, the GOAT conversation, Peter, around Max? Where I know you don't like to do this comparative across eras, but is Max in the conversation to be one of, if not the greatest F1 peddler of all time now, do you think?
Well, I haven't changed my mind about Max. I think he's certainly one of the greatest of all time. And right now, for sure, he's the greatest of this era. But again, as I say, it's very difficult to compare Tazio Nuvolari, with Fangio, with Alberto Ascari, with Niki Lauda, with Mario Andretti, whoever you want to compare them with, because all the tools that Max has got and the environment in which he's racing are so different from those of Alberto Ascari that we just don't know how Alberto Ascari would have adapted to the electronic steering wheel and all the driver aids that we have and the way the cars are now, or indeed how Max would have worked in a, you know, in an old Alfa Romeo with no brakes and gearbox falling apart and no seat belts and open to the elements. He probably would be great, just as Ascari would be great in a Red Bull. I don't know. But who would? I mean, we can only talk about it in the pub over a pint, can't we? Because that is not real. It's not real. It's just fun chat. All you can say is right now, nobody better on the planet Earth. There's nobody better than Max, that's for sure, in terms of getting the best from a Formula One car, or indeed any racing car. I mean, the only guy to win a race in a Ferrari this year is Max Verstappen.
Peter, let me double click on that because you said best era, and I can hear Mama Cameron and so many Sir Lewis Hamilton fans saying, "How very dare you, Peter Windsor, talk about Lewis so in a way that's so blasphemous? 7-time champion, isn't he the greatest of the era, Lewis Hamilton, notwithstanding his underperformance over the last
Well, I did
few
say
years?"
right now, and right now in this era, there's nobody better than Max Verstappen. There was a time when there was nobody better than Lewis Hamilton, for sure. But that's no longer the case. I think Max is better than Lewis right now.
I mean,
You can't, I mean, there's no way Lewis Hamilton is as good now as he was in, say, 2021 or 20.